I saw the fall. I was immediately concerned because obviously it was a nasty fall.
You know, since when does a 10-year-old fall with you and then come and land smack on top of you, you know?
My mum rang me in tears. She said it's not good, things are deteriorating.
They felt they were losing Josh. Something was going on. They didn't know what was happening.
My mum was called to hospital and we thought this was it.
Yeah.
It was eating me away inside, you know. You couldn't get anything more tougher.
It was quite terrifying.
I was actually presenting on course at Lingfield and I was watching the race on my iPad in between sort of the action that we were covering. And straight away I was messaging my mum and she was very concerned, she was very worried. Talking to mum, knew it was pretty bad, but obviously not what we were about to come up against.
At what stage do you end up going up to Aintree?
I still feel really bad about that, actually, because normally I would have just gone, but we were talking Liverpool, and I had a lot of reassurance, and you sort of think, there's no point in panicking, let's just go up first thing in the morning. Yeah. And when I expected then Josh would have been coming around from his operation by the time I got there.
When you get there and you realise it's more serious than you thought.
I didn't find him.
Really?
Didn't know where he was. When I did find him, they just said, well, didn't anyone call you? And then when they send you into a side room to wait to speak to a doctor, I don't think I handled that quite well, actually.
I was at Plumpton the next day and my mum rang me in tears and she said it's not good, things are deteriorating. He's got fat embolism syndrome. Of course, Googled it up and it said is potentially life-threatening.
Fat embolism?
Yeah.
What is that?
About 40% of people who break their femur might suffer from a fat embolism, but it can go all around your body, but it's only a tiny, tiny percentage. I can't remember, I think it's something like 0.2%. It'll go to their brain.
I was just really, really scared and just thinking, you know, as bad injuries are breaking your back and your leg, you know, I didn't think this was gonna go the way it did, and it was horrible, to be honest with you.
So when you saw Josh, your little boy, in that sort of state,
yeah,
how hard is that as a parent?
It was quite terrifying.
It was eating me away inside, you know, and seeing him the way he was, you know, you couldn't get anything more tougher.
Going in to see him was horrible. Well, there were wires everywhere. It was petrifying. It was really disturbing to see my little brother like that. I've seen him in bad ways and things, you know, broken shoulders, collarbones, bones and stuff, but not with a machine doing the breathing for him.
I can't begin to describe it, honestly. We didn't want to leave him. Someone had to be there all the time.
Yeah.
I said to Gary, I'm not going home until Josh comes home.
Yeah, it was unbearable. And all you could hope for was that he just kept progressing and going the right way, which when I left, I kind of believed he would be. And then that night, he took a turn for the worse, and my mum was called to hospital, and we thought this was it.
On the build-up to the May meeting at Chester, there was statements released, and the statements were basically saying, look, he's stable, but they weren't telling you anymore. But you were behind the scenes, and I saw you a couple of times, and you were very upset.
Yeah, it was awful when Josh was basically had his brain scan, read his MRI scan, that things were awful and he was basically brain dead on both sides of his brains, which is very unusual. But they wouldn't tell us the outcome, so we didn't actually know anything, because no one in any profession, no neurologist was going to be diagnosing what they were reading on an MRI scan, because they just didn't know. I just couldn't believe that my little brother, who's also like one of my best friends as well, was going to be lost, you know, was going to be brain dead.
So when you guys got that news, that's devastating.
Well, Ryan had come over from Chester and Hayley was there. And when they said that, I just said, well, I'm not believing it because it's fat embolism. And they said, well, we can't tell the difference. I said, right, well, you can't tell the difference, so you can't say it definitely is then, can you? And then I do remember the consultant saying that. I was just in total denial, and I said, that's fine. But Ryan and I were adamant that, no, he's going to be, we didn't know how okay, but we just thought we'd get him home.
You ride Glenelg. What do you remember about the race?
I don't remember anything of the race. I can't even remember like being in a parade room before or anything like that.
How aware were you of how serious a condition you were in?
I wasn't aware at all, and I don't remember anything of Liverpool at all. Apparently a lot of people come to see me, don't remember much of it.
Yeah.
I've learnt now what a mess it was anyway. My mum was getting prepared to convert one of the rooms downstairs for me to be living, so because they thought I was going to be paralysed.
So when you wake up then and you look around you,
yeah,
what are you thinking at that stage? Are you thinking, am I ever going to get out of here, or?
Yeah, well, obviously I couldn't speak at the time, but the doctors and nurses that were speaking to me, it was kind of, I was making good progress, so I was pretty sure, obviously quite confident I was going to get out again, and they had me up walking, or standing at least, so I knew that everything was working still.
When I had my fall and I was in Liverpool Hospital, I can distinctly remember being aware of where I was and being like a little child. I was so scared because I realised in what sort of a state I was. What were you feeling at that stage?
I think I did think, how am I in this mess once again?
Yeah.
Kind of just thought, well, I obviously got very lucky here, didn't I? Like, and a lot of people say to me, said, oh, you had bad luck. I said, no, I had good luck, because if I had bad luck, it could have been a lot worse. So I think I've come out of it the right side of it, and to me, that's lucky kind of thing.
I think it was 6 weeks before he started to show any signs of, you know, getting better sort of thing, you know. So as time went on, he just got rapidly better and better. And as soon as they took the tracheotomy out and he was able to speak, that was just unbelievable, you know, because that's something he hadn't done. And you're always wondering, is he done some damage that we don't know of, you know. But when he was, as soon as the tracheotomy thing came out of his throat, you know, like, he was just a massive relief. And then when he started answering questions that you wouldn't expect him to answer, you know, he's just unbelievable.
So how nice is it now being back?
Yeah.
I'm back riding this morning as well.
Yes, yeah, no, I've started riding out again. I make sure I'm on very quiet horses, but I do ride out, yeah.
Did that feel nice?
It
being
did,
back
yeah.
on ours?
It did, yeah.
So now, what's the future, Josh?
Unfortunately, I think the riding career is over now. I don't think I'd pass any tests to get back now. I've accepted it fine, because when I was in hospital, all the nurses were sort of like, you've got to stop. She said, if that's not enough of a message, then you need your head properly looking at, because you really need to stop. So I sort of accepted it then. I was always prepared that any ride could be your last ride, and I sort of accepted that.
How hard is that, Josh?
Yeah, I miss it. I mean, I hadn't missed it until I was at Sandown Tingle Creek Day, and Tingle Creek Day was one of my favourite meetings to ride at. It's good racing, good track, and we had a lovely horse win there called Authorised Speed, and seeing him win was sort of like, wish that was me there today, you know.
So now?
I'll just carry on helping Dad out for the time being.
Yeah.
And then perhaps one day in the future, Dad might hand the licence on to me, which I think I'll be quite ready for, because I've had a big involvement in the yard for a long time now. I've always had a keen interest, like at the sales with Dad and in the past, and with the entries being made and where horses should run or should not run. And so hopefully carry on in that shape of things now anyway.
There's 3 fixed lots. Jamie's schooling a few today, so they're ahead of schedule, like, but yeah. There's an early lot, and then there's 3 lots, sometimes a 4th lot. Get up. Cheers, Nico.
It's great to have him back right now. It's good to have him back. It's just good to have him back about the place as well, you know, like, never mind the riding side of it. It's just a massive plus to everybody, really.
It's funny, it's a lot of things I've kind of not forgotten, but tried not to remember. But all I know is now he got out and he's home, and that's just meant the world to me. I don't think we would have managed without him, actually. So, yeah, all's good.
How has your perspective on life changed since your injury, Josh?
I think you have to just learn to be grateful for every single day, really. It's the human body's incredible, I've learned, and you need to respect it. I count myself as lucky, yeah. A lot of people say I'm unlucky, but I think no, I'm walking and talking, so that's good enough. I'd say it's lucky, yeah.